right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of the Franchise Mode Commentary with your San Francisco Giants here at the start of year one season. We have the lineups and rotation all set. We'll get to show you that. Leading the way, Corbin Burns, our new acquisition, followed by our workhorse and Logan Webb. Robbie Ray, Kyle Harrison, and Jordan Hicks round us out. Birdsong were given the chance at a long relieving spot to start the season. There's a lot of different options we can go with this. Tristan Beck pitched well last year for the ball club up at the major league level with a 3.54 ERA and 137 innings. So we have him in our back pocket to move up, but we wanted to give Birdsong the chance there. We also have Eldridge down here in Double-A, hoping for some good growth out of him, and Wissenhunt here in Double-A. So a couple of our prospects are, we're looking to grow them, of course, this year. So that's why we decided to give Birdsong the chance up here at the major league level. Bullpen kind of gets rounded out, all the familiar faces in Walker and the Rogers brothers. We bring in Matt Moore, Scott Barlow, Jorge Lopez to help round out that bullpen, and of course Camilo Duvall there as our all-star closer. So we'll see what the bullpen does. Obviously, it's a little bit weak on paper, but I'm expecting some of these guys to be effective in this simulation. So we'll see if we need to make immediate changes there, or we can trust some of those guys to get the job done. Offensively, versus right-handed pitching, left-handed pitching, things change. But Theo Estrada is our leadoff guy. Wade Jr. actually had a really good spring training, and I like some of his overall numbers there, especially against righties. So we're giving him the chance to play here, and actually looking at their defensive numbers, he should probably be the first baseman when he's playing and allow, that is his primary position, and then allow Wilmer to DH there. Then Young-Hoo Lee, Santander, another big free agent acquisition for us this year, followed by Wilmer, Yaz, Chapman down here in the 7 hole. We could move him up, but he didn't have a great offensive year last year, so I'm hoping hitting a little bit lower in the lineup protects him a little bit. Patrick Bailey, we're hoping to get some good growth out of, and then, of course, Luciano is our shortstop. Playing some of these younger guys, hoping for some growth, hoping some playing time, and some good statistics overall will help them make the jump for next year, which is really where we're looking to make that postseason push. It'd be great if we're a competitive team come the trade deadline this year. It would definitely make things interesting for me as the GM to go through and see what we want to do with this team. But for now, that's where we have it. And then, of course, lefty pitching. We have Luis Matos getting in there as he's really good against lefties. We could start him against righties, but just kind of where we're at in our team, I'd like to just put him in positions where he'll have success to help his numbers be a little bit better. And then, of course, Bailey gets moved up as he hits really well against lefties. Chapman as well. Young-Hoo Lee gets dropped down. Not the best versus lefties. We'll see if we can kind of round him out this year. And then Heliot Ramos gets in there as well. He also has decent numbers versus righties. But Yaz is a little bit better, a little bit more veteran. And at least to start the year, we're going to give Yaz the starting role over Heliot Ramos. So that could easily change as the year goes on. As far as any prospects, we don't have too much in terms of offensive players. It's really in the pitching prospect where we've got guys. Josh Rojas, kind of a depth guy that we signed. In the offseason, we can always look to call him up as well. Vaughn Brown's an outfielder we're looking to get going a little bit here in Double-A. And then, of course, down here in Single-A, I actually completely forgot when we were going through this roster in that year 0 that Bryce Eldridge is a two-way player and actually has some pretty good offensive stats here. So we'll see what he can become and turn into. I mean, it'd be pretty awesome if we could have a mini Shohei. I know that's outlandish to say, right? Shohei's one of one, but it's always cool when you get some two-way players in there. It just makes the franchise mode a little bit more fun. But yeah, aside from that, we don't have it too much. Artejena and Walker Martin here, our middle infield in Double-A, are kind of our two guys, I guess you could say, keep an eye out on. But nothing really much in Triple-A, and the Major League roster has a bunch of our younger guys getting the chance to play this year. So we'll see how that shapes up to start the year. We're just going to get the simulation going. Everything's on manual, so if things happen and I need to just take time to edit all this and not bore you with the injuries, then I'll do that. But for right now, we're going to go along the road. So starting out here at Colorado, 4-game series. We'll see how the season starts for year 0. And, of course, the scouting as well is on manual. So we will go through this together first time through. Positionally, I always like to start on starting pitching. I think it's really helpful to have a lot of great starting pitching in your organization. It's a key to the simulation. It's a key to success in baseball overall. Outside of that, I do think we are weak in the middle infield, and I think shortstop, like we've seen with the Padres, athletic position usually can play other spots as well, so it'd be helpful to grab a shortstop there as well. And we have some pretty decent defensive outfielders, which is usually where right field would come into play. So I'm going to target left fielders. Of course, all of our guys can play any of those positions, but I'm specifically going to look at left fielders this year. And how I like to do the scouting is for the first 4 weeks, go through and discover new prospects. So we're going to discover new guys in the outfield this year. Always start everybody off in the West. It's just how my OCD likes to do it. So we're going to discover position players. We're going to discover pitchers. And I'm actually going to move that to number 1. And then I like to have this last guy just scout a position, right? So we know we're targeting shortstops. Let's just go get them. And then we'll just rotate those 4 areas these next 4 weeks and get back to the scouting as it goes. So we won 2 out of 3 so far versus Colorado. And then we have a 2-game set versus LA. Split the Colorado and lose 2 to LA. A lot of divisional games here to start. Our first game at home. Another 4-game set versus Colorado. And we've lost 2 out of 3 there. It's not the best start. We hope for a little bit better, especially playing 8 games versus Colorado to start the year. They're not a great team, especially pitching-wise. I would expect more out of our offense. Okay. So, first couple series gone 4-6. We have the Reds and the Braves here all at home. The Braves are on the road. Lose the first 2 to them. Not surprising. They're 13-2. They're pretty much a powerhouse team for these first couple of years with all of the talent they have. And to finish off Atlanta, then we go out to Pittsburgh, and then home versus the Dodgers. If we can split this series, it would be nice. Okay, so they've gone through, going to international now. Finish off this series with LA, and then Detroit hosting at Arizona. Okay, Whitman, just keep him active there in AA. Okay, so now all that's done. So I'm just going to send these guys out. I'm going to have to cancel all of this and then go through. Start with the pitching. Our best pitching and efficient scout is actually Rojas here. So we are going to scout starting pitching, start in the West. This is our best positional guy. Actually, this guy can only do pitching, so never mind. So we're going to do scout position, starting pitching in the West. Cancel his. Our best positional guy is right here, so we are going to scout position. We're going to go left field in the West, and then here we're just going to go through some of the best overall guys here. So we do have the 5th overall pick, if you remember. So we definitely want to keep our eyes on some of those top prospects there that are coming in. So let's get through the rest of this month. So we take that series versus Arizona, and the Nationals want to come to the trading block. Who are they offering here? So Christian Vaquero, okay, B prospect, switch hitter, play all outfield spots, good arm, good speed, good base stats overall. Okay, 6'3", decent prospect there. For Nick Garcia, who's a C starting pitcher, 3-pitch mix, 24 years old, nothing crazy. Getting lit up there in AA to start the year. And then Luis Toribio, first base, can play third. Not a whole lot. Okay, I feel like we should take this offer, right? It's a pretty decent outfield prospect for a first baseman who's 23 and a starting pitcher who's What was he, 24? Not a whole lot really we're giving up there. We just add to our center field prospect depth there. I think that's a win. That's a win for us. Yeah, he's hitting well in Double A. I like that trade. Okay, so Nationals, I will accept that. Now we're going to have to go through and edit some of these lineups here. So they just lost their first baseman, and we definitely want to get that center fielder some playing time here. See, it's a $1.95 or, yeah. Chase Pinder. Yeah, we'll slot him in left. I don't know if he should be the leadoff per se. Trying to look at who we have here in Double A, who we could move up. I want those guys to develop. Put him in the 2-hole. He's got decent speed. And then they lost their first baseman, so now we need somebody who can play first. This guy can play everywhere. See if there's anybody else in particular. And then Eldridge is the DH there. So, yeah, okay, we'll go with Aldrete. And just kind of slide some of these guys up with a little bit better numbers overall. Geez, Eldridge has 4 bombs already. You know what? Why not? Why not have Eldridge hit cleanup there? It's the DH. We'll do that. Just throw somebody in there. Yep, it's non-DH. Okay, get him in versus lefties as well. Put him in a 2-hole. And then already has decent numbers versus lefties, so we'll leave him there in the 3. Not too worried about this. Okay. And then pitching rotation as well. Lost a roster guy, so let's see if there's somebody we can call up. There is. Here we go, 20-year-old. Pretty sure we just drafted this guy, move him up in the Double A. Let him just get a spot there. Whitman got hurt, that's right. A couple of days. Don't know who's in for him, but we'll just let that ride. Okay, so pretty decent trade there for us. I feel like came from the Nationals. All right, sorry if something happened there with the stream, but we got a pretty decent trade there from the Nationals. Got an outfield prospect, just gave up a first baseman and starting pitcher who were in their early 20s there, see potential. You know, they might become depth for you, but nothing really much. We're betting on the better prospect there, so we'll keep simming along here and see. Okay, Whitman is back, but we'll just leave him on the bench. Okay, we're finishing up the Seattle series. All right, we're here in May, 13-18, so a little bit lower than where we'd want to be. We want to be around that 500 mark, and again, 7.5 out of our division, only 2.5 out of a wild card spot, but you look at the team's records that are there. We need a little bit of a winning streak here to pull things together. Take a little bit of a quick look at our lineups to see if there's anybody who's really struggling here. Okay, Santander is having a great year. That's big for us. Yaz is really struggling. Okay, so that's something to note. Patrick Bailey's doing well, and Luciano's hitting great down there. Okay, how are some of our depth pieces hitting? Matos, not great, and he's only really hitting against lefties. Maybe a benefit from hitting every day. And Elliot Ramos is hitting well in his limited plate appearances. So we're going to slot him in there, give him the chance to be the everyday left fielder. This is probably Yaz's last year here in San Francisco regardless. So it is a time to pass the torch. And I think Matos isn't hitting great, but we don't really have anybody who hits that well. I mean, I think Ramos could certainly move up there. Okay, we'll switch those two around, see if we can't get any little bit of a better production from there. Theo Strada struggling in that leadoff spot, but we'll just kind of leave that the way it is. And then pitching rotation. Okay, Corbin Burns is doing well. Logan Webb is getting lit up to start the year. Not great. Robbie Ray, Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks are all struggling. So our starting pitching isn't helping with our record there. Bullpen, geez, a couple 7s. All right, that's not what you love to see out of your bullpen. But yeah, okay. So pitching definitely seems to be handicapping us a little bit more. than the offense. And look at that. Some changes. We won the first 2 games. Coincidence? Who knows? But go back, get the scouting taken care of. Stay out here in the outfield probably. These couple guys look decent prospects there. Like I said, we got the 5th overall, so we want to make sure we're scouting some of those top guys. Okay, Keaton Wynn out for a couple months there. Don't know what position he was per se. Starting pitcher for AAA, I believe. Okay, so whatever it was, he was on the bench. We'll just leave him there. Take care of itself. Barry Hill got injured. Leave him day to day. Okay, scouting again. Yeah, we look to be about like a 4-6 type of team to start the year. Let's scout him. One of the top prospects there at first base. Chase Pinder got hurt a couple of days. Okay, we'll go through manually. Slot someone in there. Outfielder, who's hitting the best? Grant McKay. I mean, not great numbers, but I mean, hey, why not? A couple of days. Get you some ABs. All right, we'll keep this going. Auto utilize, AA catcher. Not much there. Under Bishop. It's fine. Back to the scouting. So this is kind of how I at least handle most of the season in-season work, especially when we're on autopilot one way or the other. Either we're guy's last name was Snowden. I just remember that'd be a pretty cool name for those who've seen that movie. Okay, this third baseman looks like he might be something. But yeah, when we're on autopilot one way or the other, we're just trying to make sure we're focusing on the scouting and the development of our players. I'll actually place him on the bench for right now. Hunter Bishop. Yeah, you're not really hitting that great. Be honest, I don't even remember who he was in for. I want to say it was one of these guys up here at the top. I'll just leave him on the bench for now. AAA's and AA are at the top. Okay, we love to see that. It's good growth for our prospects down there. Chase Pinder's back. Place him on the bench for right now. Okay, so we've gone through all of those places. Now it's time to scout individual players. So this is our pitching guy. I like to go another week or so for relievers, at least internationally, before I send them out to look at specific players. And then we're going to stay at all. Again, like I've said, closers are sometimes a little bit overvalued here. So we want to scout some positional-based players. And I know we have Patrick Bailey. We just signed him. But if we can get another top catching prospect to slot in behind him, that's always a big help. And the Reds are coming to us with an offer. Okay, Rodolfo Castro, I believe he's a half-decent, platoon-based guy, middle infielder for Tyler Fitzgerald and Colton Welker. Okay, third baseman who's not really much. And then an outfielder is not really much. Is he on the 40-man? He is. Renewable. You know, it's a decent depth piece. I mean, he can play third base. Just basically take over for Welker's spot. Tyler Fitzgerald is nothing, especially now that we have this prospect who we got. So, again, I like this trade. I'll take that from the Reds. Simulate a day ahead. I think we'll need to make some changes to our lineups here. Let's see. Okay, doesn't look like Castro's there. Off of Castro. Okay, they pulled him up to the MLB. We're going to have to send him down. See if it uses one of... See if anybody picks him up, basically. Or else that trade was for nothing. Let's go through and do this quick. So we need a first baseman. Okay. Pitching rotation real quick. Oh, Fitzgerald might be in here. Yep. Sorry, Chase Pinder getting back. He's a good defensive guy. All right. Let's get back to it. Kyle Harrison pulled back. He's good. Let's get scouting done again. Send you back out to the west, see if we can't scout anybody. Actually, cancel that. So our best positional guy is you. We want to go through and scout some of these top guys to make sure we're not missing out on anybody here at the start who's going to be a top pick. So we have a top 5 pick there. And let's make sure we got the top starting pitchers. We did. Any other catchers jumping out? This guy's decent stats. We'll take a look at him. Okay, let's get Castro in here. Rojas can stay. You're a versatile player. Okay, he'll go to first base. We'll have Castro. Even though he's not great versus righties, I want him to play. So we'll get him in there. Yep, versus lefties for sure. He can play second base there. So we'll hope that helps out the AAA team do even better. Kyle Harrison is back. Let's get him back in the rotation. Birdsong's doing all right. You know, we want him to play. Yeah, Jordan Hicks is really struggling in that spot. Let's switch him and Birdsong. I was looking at the move of putting Jordan Hicks back in the bullpen this year. He didn't have a great year as a starter last year, and he's not really having a great year again as a starter. So let's make the move and see if his numbers get back to a respectable place. As Castro got hurt there, auto-utilize should just put him back where he was. Fingers crossed. Looks that way. Yep. Tough loss there versus Cleveland, 12-11. Blame that one on the bullpen, probably. All right, let's take a couple looks at some of these left fielders, one of the positions that we said we wanted to target, but not a lot of these guys are standing out and kind of later in the prospect pool. None of these second basemen are really jumping out. These guys, I feel like, are always look great on paper, but never really turn out to be much. But, you know, you always look at those guys, and if you don't have them on your team or don't at least scout them, you never know. So keep the simulation going. Not entirely sure who that is. We'll just put it away, and the lineups go through. Okay. Looks like an outfielder, Hunter Bishop's hitting better. You get the chance to go back in there, buddy. Okay. Anybody hit better versus lefties? Wade's a little better. Yeah, we'll get Wade in there versus lefties. This is what it is. This is what the season kind of looks like, or what it's going to look like from a simulation perspective for us this year. Just kind of playing around, and you find prospects that you might want to go out and scout here. We might send them back out to look at some relievers. Where's the pitching guy? Yeah. Let's scout some relievers in the West. For you, we'll scout. Let's just look at center fielders overall out there in the West. And for you, Any other top prospects that we're kind of missing here? I hate taking first baseman that high overall because usually they're not turning out to be the value pick that you'd be drafting them in that spot for. And again, closers are sometimes a little bit overvalued in those spots. Relievers, I feel like their numbers never really turn out to be what you want. This guy's only 38%. Let's go look at him one more time. All right, so relievers in the West, relievers in the Central, so center fielders international. All right, they are saying that guy is a top guy, so we may as well just take a look at him just in case we're missing out on a gem there. Kirk Casilli. Just replace him. Autofix all. I may have just messed myself up there. Doesn't look like it per se. Okay, may have just been the double A. I'm wondering. Yeah, it may have been double A. It's okay. I'll take a look at that in a minute here. Let's just get the rest of this month done and get it to the draft. So I want to get that done in this episode and maybe take it up to the trade deadline and kind of see where we sit as an organization. I think we went west. Let's go central there. This will be the last round of scouting, the last group of players. Is anybody at the top here who we're missing? This third baseman. Let's look at him. We'll stop it right before the draft. Take a look at some of these numbers. Okay. Just activate him. Yep. Okay. So 40 and 49. So we caught a little bit back up to 500, I feel like. But yeah, we're just sitting at a 4 and 6, 5 and 5 record. Every now and then we get a couple wins in a row, but really not much to write home about. We're in a really tough division. And yeah, that's just kind of the story of it. If we look at where we sit in the wild card race, 7 games back. Not too surprised at where we are and just kind of the statistics that are happening amongst our team. Not anybody, a lot of bad years all around, I would say. Even the guys that are having decent years, their numbers aren't where you'd hope they'd be. Yeah, for the most part, offensively, we're having some regression from a lot of these players. Yaz is, however, hitting well. Casey Schmidt is having a pretty good year. Okay, off the bench. Luis Matos, hope for more out of him. Blake Sable, decent platoon there. Yeah, our offense overall isn't doing what you'd hope, and actually, we might want to make a change. No, Jung-Hoo Lee's doing okay. Doing okay there. Pitching, Corbin Burns has been the ace that we paid him to be. Logan Webb has got his numbers back down to, instead of the 7, it's a 5. Not great, but still better. Robbie Ray, it's not the Robbie Ray that the Giants bought him for. Kyle Harrison's still trying to get used to pitching in the major leagues. And Birdsong, good growth, but a 5-something ERA. Jordan Hicks actually got worse moving to the bullpen. We can't really figure him out. Some of these other bullpen pieces, Matt Moore was not a fix there. Rogers Brothers are doing well, and Duvall. Not really many games to save. As he drops in potential, he's still going to be a fine player for $7 million there, but nothing great for us. Is doing well. Beck's doing well. I mean, that could be a move, is to bring up Tristan Beck, but again, for who are we sending down? How worth it is it really for us? Sam Coonrod, a .86 there in AAA. Okay. All right, we don't need to keep going down that rabbit hole. So let's get to the draft. Let's do some fun stuff here. We'll look at the All-Stars and take it down to the trade deadline. And probably it's where we'll end the video for today. Just because we'll want to do some scouting for the next video, really look at our contracts, our team, and see where we're at. So let's get to the draft. So here we are at the draft. 5th overall selection. Here as the Nationals take the first pick in this draft. They go with a starting pitcher. Looks to be pretty solid pick there. The 2nd overall pick in this year's draft. Going to the Pirates is a first baseman, Ward Holmes. Looks to play other positions there as well. Corner infielder guy. It's a good pickup for them. They need help in both those spots. And then the Athletics could use pretty much anybody. And they go with an outfielder. Okay. The Angels take starting pitcher and the number 1 overall guy. And now it's us. Now where do we go? So there is this reliever. He's unranked. He looks to be pretty nasty, not going to lie. But I'm not taking him first overall, even though we have him ranked that high. I don't like taking relievers that high. I never think they turn out. This Hidalgo guy is actually the one that we almost didn't scout. Looks to play a multitude of other positions. Bats left, throws right. I would prefer maybe actually we're mixed on there, so it doesn't really matter where he's hitting. It looks to be more of a contact vision OBP guy with not great defense. So I don't love that pick. It's a little risky. We also have this catcher here. I'm kind of skipping over the relievers because, again, like I've said, I don't really favor them this high in the draft. Another starter here in Chavez, who I don't love his hits category. I've been over that before. We have this third baseman, Chad Stevenson, who looks to have pretty solid offensive numbers. Would be a good replacement for Matt Chapman, but it is a little bit of a risk because his potential's so much of a range, and this guy might be one of those players who has really good stats out of the gate and then is like a D potential, so might be a waste of a pick there. An outfielder here. Carlos here is just a little bit all over the place. No one really clear cut. Besides that Hidalgo guy, this lefty's got a 4-pitch mix, looks pretty decent, but again, it's kind of all over the place. You'd like to get a sure thing with what you're taking there. So it's kind of like you either take a risk between one of these two starting pitchers who look like they could be good, kind of have the overall numbers all around the same areas, trying to see if there's anything that really stands out between any of them. I mean, they're both really solid. One's a righty, one's a lefty. And then this third baseman here as well is kind of along the lines of that other guy where good numbers, decent potential, possibly. Like, he might be really good, he might not be that great. So it's really hard to tell. As we've got about a minute left on the clock. So if we go back to the start here, kind of in between this Hidalgo guy, who's, again, first base, third base, contact vision first guy. Don't have him scouted that well. You know, I would like to stay away from somebody like that. First base is always a position you can fill in elsewhere. To be perfectly honest, I don't mind taking a shot at one of those other two starting pitchers who we don't really know much about and just hope that the one we pick is going to pay off for us. And one's a lefty, one's a righty. Usually like to favor the lefties because they're a little bit harder to find if they can have great success. And this guy's hits total is a little bit down. He's got 5 pitches instead of 4, but we're going to go with the lefty in Fernando Fuentes from Venezuela. Welcome to the San Francisco Giants. All right, pick number 2 here. So there's another starting pitcher that popped up who's unranked. We'll just pin him there. Another guy here with his numbers all over the board. Asking price isn't that high. And it's really just kind of all starters. They're kind of all in that mix of could be good, could not be good. No positional guys really up here at the top, at least the ones that we've scouted. And to be honest, this reliever who we passed on that our scouts are saying is the best prospect in the draft, I always be hesitant to that. I know his strikeouts, walks, and home runs look to be pretty elite right out of the gate. His potential's up there. His overall's up there. 23 would step in and really help our bullpen. But the bonus demand, and maybe that's because he's unranked, is really low. And sometimes I feel like that does impact their overall numbers. But I think this guy's too good to pass up. They're saying he's the best prospect in the pool. Our scouts are saying. So I am perfectly happy taking him here in round 3. For our next pick, we're going to go with Zach Novoa. Uh, for our third pick in round 4, we're going with Zach Novoa, starting pitcher. Pretty decent numbers. We don't know a ton about him, but it's kind of one of those high risk, high reward draft picks there in round 4. Round 5, I didn't hate that reliever. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of position guys who we've scouted that look decent. This guy might be worth a chance to take on. We haven't really picked any position guys. Another right fielder here. Similar numbers. We'll take a look at both those side by side in a minute. Yeah, maybe one of these outfielders. Okay, so decent contact vision, fielding speed. Looks a little bit of a stronger, a little bit higher overall. Take a chance on Lloyd German. All right, next pick, we are going to go with this reliever, David McDougal. I like the name, decent velo. Who knows what his potential will actually be, but worth a shot here. And that's it. That brings us to the end of... And that's it. That brings us to the end of the draft. We'll take a look at those draft picks next video when we go through and sign everybody. But like I said, we're just going to continue simulating on here. Auto utilize, keep going. Home run derby. Let's see who's in it this year at Globe Life Field. So you got Vladdy, you got Seager representing for Texas. Jordan coming over from Houston. Schroeder, Lindor, Josh Lowe, Brian Reynolds, Matt Olson. Okay. Brian Reynolds, I would say, is probably the shock there, but the rest of those guys pretty familiar with in the home run derby this year. And we have our first big trade of this year. So the Athletics part ways with probably their best player, Zach Galoff, second baseman, middle infielder guy. Pretty strong prospect there for Brendan Davis, outfielder, James Triantos, middle infielder. And I'm not even going to try and pronounce that last one, another outfield prospect. So the A's just trading for more draft or more prospect capital to help build out their books, it looks like there. Cubs get a good infielder to help them out, auto-utilize win, and first time to sign draft picks. So for this next little bit, I'm just going to go through these next few days, work on signing the draft picks, get to the... Actually, did we go through? Yes, we did. Okay, before we do all that, let's go through the All-Star from the NL and see who represented the Giants and see who's coming through across the league here. So I'm not going to go through everybody. Just going to look to call out the Giants or Anybody worth noting? The Contreras brothers there again. I feel like Harold Ramirez was in there last year, if my memory serves me right. Matt Chapman, okay, the representative, starting third baseman representative for the NL. Looks to be having a better year than previously. Home run totals is up a lot higher. Love to see that. Averages as well. So, yeah, good year so far there from Chapman. Yeah, and that's about it from the NL. A lot of the same guys you'd expect to see there. Okay, and yeah, now we can go through and sign the draft picks. So for this next little bit, unless anything pops up that's worth talking about, I'm just going to do this and get back to you. And there's something worth noting. Santander breaks his leg, going to be out probably the better part of those 2 months there. That hurts us to be pushing around 500, but is what it is. And we have another big trade. The Reds go out and get Luis Robert from the White Sox in exchange for pitching prospect Connor Phillips and infielder prospect Ichiro Kano Hernandez. So big trade right there as the Reds look to make a playoff push. All right, so here we are. We're at the trade deadline with a record of 49-59. Not the greatest, but we're still in a position to be around a 500 mark by the end of the season. Should eclipse our record from last year, but we did lose Santander for the better part of the rest of the season, so that's definitely going to hurt us offensively. But we're clearly sellers. We have some pieces we can certainly trade away here, get in some prospects back in, or even MLB-ready players. Even maybe some guys we want to move on who have 2 years left here, like Robbie Ray, not having the best year, but a lefty, a veteran who's been around the block, might help out a team who has the ability to afford his contract for next year as well. Taylor Rogers, he's 33. He's having a pretty darn good year. I think we could get something out of him. Would be nice to bring him back, but maybe we trade him and re-sign him in free agency. Yaz, for sure, I feel like we should trade, do him a service, and try and find a contending team to put him on who could use a veteran outfielder to help bolster their roster. Wilmer Flores as well is a guy we can trade away. He's having a good year offensively. I think we can get some stuff back for him, someone that could use a DH first base upgrade there as well. And then, of course, Matt Moore, who isn't pitching the best. Don't know how much we'll get for him. Tyler Rogers also having a decent year. Wade Jr. having a decent year, who we might just want to bring back because of his year. But if we get the right trade, we get the right trade. Everyone else, not really too concerned with trading or moving on from. But, yeah, we are going to be sellers. We'll take a look at which teams those players fit on, try and get some prospect capital back. Like I said, we'll do that all in the next video. We'll be able to take a look at the draft picks. We were able to sign everybody. There was only 4 or 5 guys, so it was pretty easy. We'll see how we did, how we made out in the draft, if we hit on any of those players. Take a look at the contract extensions here as well when we get to next video, see if there's anybody we really want to extend and keep on this team into the future. And after the trade deadline, it'll basically be simulate through. We'll simulate through the playoffs, look at the awards, the stats, the growth, everything like that, like we did last year, and then tee it up for the next offseason. So that'll be it for this video. Next video, like I said, we'll have the trades, we'll have contract extensions, draft picks, and roll out through the rest of the year and see where the Giants stack up after year 1 season. Thanks, y'all, for watching, and we'll see you next time.